Hi, I'm Dulaney, and today I'm going to be talking to you about celiac disease. By the end of the presentation, I hope that you might be able to, 1, identify the symptoms of celiac disease through physical examination, identify the symptoms of celiac disease through diagnostic tests, as well as understand the physical and emotional effects celiac disease can have on the body. So first of all, what is celiac disease? So I'm going to have you break up into groups of 3 to 4 people each. So now what I want you all to do, you're going to label 5 different ideas about what you think about celiac disease.
And gluten.
I think it's not gluten.
I don't know. I think it's in bread. No.
Well, there's gluten free almost everything.
Yeah.
You all of a sudden look at it, it's like gluten free, like vegetable stuff. Some people are allergic to gluten.
And food. I've seen all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's in bread, right?
Yeah, bread, grains, any sorts of things.
Carbs.
It's in a lot.
It's in food. Yeah.
Is it just, what is it
Yeah, it's going to be gluten intolerance. If you want to put that down. So now, what is celiac disease? Because it's such a large disease, I'm going to break it up into 3 different categories. First of all, it's a genetic autoimmune disorder, AID. Not AIDS, that would be AIDS. AID. And because it is genetic, it's passed down through consecutive generations. But the genetic link isn't quite known. In addition, in a moment I'll be talking about how it prevents the absorption of nutrients into the body, as well as chronic inflammation of the small intestine. So first of all, you probably heard of it, the gluten-free diet is supposed to give you more energy, lose weight. In reality, it's really not the case. Gluten is the overarching group name for 33 different proteins. Those proteins, 2 of the worst are proline and gliadin, that are highly toxic and are supposed to degrade the stomach lining of people, so they're not to be eaten. Naturally, in the normal digestive system, your body's able to filter these out, it goes through, and you're able to live normally. Food is going to come in through the mouth, down the esophagus, and into the stomach. But once it reaches the small intestine, something happens. As gliadin and prolines are absorbed through the into the small intestine, through the villi, as they come through, they become transglutamates. Now, it sounds like a complicated word, it's really not. But as it enters into the bloodstream, or into the small intestine through landing appropriate, your body, the celiac patient, has antibodies that label this transglutamates as a foreign invader. And as we learned anatomy and for immunology, the body is going to launch an attack against that foreign invader. It labels it and it sends large amounts of swelling and inflammation to that area. So think of your skin. When you get a cut on your skin, it's going to swell, it's going to hurt, and it's going to try to do everything to prevent new bacteria from entering that cut. The same thing happens with the small intestine. The gliadin comes in, it's labeled as a foreign invader, and so your body launches an immune response against that. So it's sending inflammation, swelling to the small intestine. As you can imagine, that would be relatively painful. Because your body is attacking it constantly, it's constantly launching this immune response, it's affecting the villi of the small intestine. So over time, as you notice, it's going to slowly degrade on those villi until you have what you call villanous atrophy. There's a decreased amount of villi in the small intestine. And as you can imagine, the villi are what allow more surface area for things to absorb. So when you don't have that surface area, you don't absorb what you need to. So for some celiac patients, it varies between person to person. If you were to eat 20 grams of sugar, you might absorb only 10 to 15 of that, sometimes more, sometimes less. So now there's some physical symptoms of celiac disease. First of all, because your small intestine is being grinded away at, you're going to have digestive problems, abdominal bloating, gas, diarrhea. So now I want to look at a patient, John Smith. He's a 14-year-old boy. He's 4'9", 95 pounds, very skinny, underweight. He has been athletic through his entire life. He has had chronic diarrhea, which has occurred for several years, but he's had no stomach pain, so he never thought it was a problem. In addition, he's had migraines for 2 to 3 times a year and was born in Washington. Could he have celiac? What do you guys have?
We said we think, well, he has 4 symptoms out of all the ones that you said, and so we think that if there's a test for celiac disease, that's enough symptoms to get tested.
Yeah.
But since he doesn't get stomach pains, we thought maybe I don't know. It's worth a test, but he might not necessarily have it.
Yeah, that's definitely. There are tests that are going to be done that I'm going to be talking about. You guys are on the right track. Right now, what we have is not really enough data to make it definitive, say, but there's a chance. So the endoscopy is the other test that we need done. What's going to happen is they're going to lay you down on the table and they're going to knock you out. Obviously with anesthesia, but what they're going to do, and what they're going to do is they're going to take a long, slender camera and they're going to stick it down your mouth and it's going to go down your esophagus, into your stomach, and into your small intestine. And they're actually going to be taking photos and video of the small intestine, looking for any lesions or damage to the small intestine. Right here we have the normal, and on the left we have a celiac patient. So on the right here, you're going to see that there's several ridges on the small intestine, showing that the alveoli, the gut is healthy, there's no red lines. You can see that it's just a normal gut. However, on the other side though, you're going to see that there's far less ridges. It's more smooth, it's more flat. So now we're going to be looking at John Smith. He decided to do blood tests, and in fact he did have a very high antibody count, as well as a red cell count. He had low iron levels and low vitamin D levels. And here is his small intestine. And as you can see, it's relatively flat. You can see that there are red lines here, here, and here. And that shows there's going to be increased blood flow and inflammation to the small intestine. It's relatively flat, there's very few ridges, and it just looks relatively sickly. It doesn't look like a normal small intestine should. So, we can definitively say that with this data that John Smith has celiac disease. He's faced with a choice. Does he want to go gluten-free the rest of his life, or does he not? There's several choices that you need to make. But there's also a lot of negatives going down the gluten-free path. Cost is a huge one. A loaf of bread for a normal size loaf of bread is about maybe $4 to $5. Not very expensive. A gluten-free loaf of bread is going to be smaller and more expensive, probably $5 to $6. Now, that may not seem a lot, but if you add bread, you add cookies, all those sorts of things, those are going to cost $2 to $3 extra over the non-gluten-free options. So food expenses are a huge part because you add up one grocery bill, it's probably $10 to $15 actually. Add that up for an entire year, add that up for an entire lifetime, and you're going to have a lot bigger food living cost. As well, there's going to be an emotional disconnect. If you go to a friend's birthday party or something and they say, hey, let's order a pizza, sounds great. You can't have that pizza because that pizza is going to be non-gluten-free. It's going to have wheat in it. You need to order a special pizza, special ingredients, special bread, just for yourself. So now, I'm going to admit, I've lied to you. The patient, John Smith, is not an actual patient. In fact, is me. I've had celiac disease. I've been diagnosed with celiac disease for about 4 years now, and it radically changed my life. But I'll do.
What would happen if you did have one non-gluten-free donut?
It's not an immediate response. It's not like I would eat peanuts, like my throat would swell up. It's nothing like that. I probably wouldn't notice anything for a couple hours. But because I have been so good on my diet, I haven't experienced much of that. But I do believe that if I were to eat a gluten-free donut, or even a small piece of wheat, like about this size, then I would have severe stomach pain, diarrhea, that kind of thing. Thank you for watching my presentation, participating. I want to thank my mentors, Jan Dulaney and Dr. Wayne Chisuji for editing my presentation, as well as my video recorders, Dr. Goodman and my parents.